The teams are in for Essendon versus the Western Bulldogs on Friday. There are some changes and we're going to go through it all right now in this video. So here are the teams for Essendon versus the Western Bulldogs. We'll just do the Western Bulldogs first. Bustlinger in and Oscar Baker comes in. Liam Jones is omitted and Davidson is omitted. So look, there's not too many big names there in or out for the Bulldogs. And look, let's face it, this should be a comfortable win for them. But what we want to see is something out of the game from some of our young players, something to take out of the game. What we really want to do is make it competitive and kick accurately for a start. That was the big problem last week. We just couldn't put it on the board. We were in the game on expected score at halftime. We were only down by 6 points with expected score, but we just couldn't kick straight. So we probably have been playing a little bit better than what the scoreboard has indicated the last couple of weeks. But the ins for Essendon: Todd Goldstein, Nate Caddy and Saad El-Hawli. Out is Vigo Vicentini, Archer May and Xavier Dersma, who is injured. He's had a query over him for a little while, Dersma, with sort of back spasms and things like this. And it's kind of, I reckon, injured/rest for Dersma. I think he would probably play, say, if it was a final or something like that. But there's no point taking a risk with him. Now, I predicted earlier in the week that Lawal would come out of the team and be replaced by El-Hawli. I think that actually would have happened had Dersma not been injured, but Lawal remains in the team as is. So Goldstein obviously coming in, that's not a surprise. Vigo Vicentini, in my opinion, is a little bit out of his depth at the moment, just as a young ruckman, and I think it would be better for his development if he continues his development in the VFL, continues to bulk up his body and really make a good run at it next year and beyond. Ruckmen tend to not peak until they're early to mid-20s. It's just the way it is with ruckmen. They need to build up their bodies. It's a totally different thing to a midfielder, and I just don't think it's worth having someone like Vigo in the team. I think it can do more harm than good getting beaten up. I mean, yeah, sure, he played pretty well against Luke Jackson in the first game. He did okay. The problem was Luke Jackson was best on ground. And Briggs, of course, also played a very good game against him last week. So he's out of the team. It's good to see El-Hawli back and, of course, Caddy. And I'm really pleased that Liam McMahon remains in the team. So I think the way that Brad Scott was thinking, he's thinking kind of how I was thinking when I did the video for the preview match earlier this week, is that we kind of want McMahon in the team because he kicked a couple of goals last week, kind of deserves his spot. But we really don't want the four talls. Peter Wright has been playing pretty well, doesn't deserve to get dropped. May is only young. May has only played the one game in the reserves, so it's probably a reasonable to drop him back to the reserves to get a bit of form. He's only a young player, so McMahon retains his spot at full forward. So we'll go through the team from full back. Andrew McGrath, Jaden Laverty and Archie Roberts across the half-back line. Mason Redman, Jordan Ridley and Angus Clark across the half-back line. Saad El-Hawli returns to the team on the wing, which is where he was playing in the VFL, and he has been our best player in the VFL of the AFL listed players. I'm not counting the VFL players who can't play for Essendon seniors. I'm talking about the AFL listed players. He has been probably our best player in the VFL for the last 2 weeks. So it's a welcome return, and I think we could do with his dash on the wing, but across half-back, and just his dash generally. It's exciting to see him running, taking some bounces, and, just giving some general positive, creating a general positive influence on the team, which he does. And he's one of those players that I think is a bit of a barometer. When he's out there, the players do tend to lift, and the crowd like him as well. So hopefully he can show a bit of excitement on Friday night. Zach Merritt is in the centre. Luaman Lawal retains his spot on the wing. I think he's a little bit lucky that Dersma's out. I think, he could probably do with a spell in the reserves at some point, but we just have so many players out at the moment through injury that it's just a fact of life that there are going to be some players who are going to be playing in the seniors that maybe otherwise wouldn't be playing there. I think Lawal's one of those. He did play pretty well against the Gold Coast 2 weeks ago, but he was very, very quiet last week. Perkins is across the half-forward line. This is a very important game for Archie Perkins. He played not too bad last week. He kicked a goal, showed a bit of energy, and probably could do with that run in the reserves, which he had. I think with Perkins, because I don't think he's got a great football brain, but he's a good athlete. He just needs to find a position. I think this sort of mid-sized forward is really where he will settle and where he should play. I don't really like the idea of him being shunted around to different positions. I don't think it suits him. I think he's better off just finding a position and making it his own. He was a bit of a goal kicker for us earlier in the year, so we'll see how that transpires on Friday night. Peter Wright is listed at centre-half forward. He hit the 2 goals, 3 last week, and had lots of 5 scoring shots, and he's in pretty good form. Gresham retains his spot as well, maybe lucky to do so. And across the full forward line, we have Caddy, McMahon, and Kako. So this is the first time we're seeing Caddy and McMahon play together, and I'm quite excited by this combination. As I mentioned in my last video, I like the fact that Caddy is the exciting athletic type, and McMahon is the traditional, I guess, mark and lead full forward. And I think McMahon, and I'm glad he's been named actually at full forward, because to me he really is a full forward. That is his position. Caddy is a bit like your Jeremy Cameron, let him do what he wants in the forward line. He's that freakish type of player. And I really think these two players can complement each other well. We've never seen them play together in a match before. They've trained together, of course. And finally, we get to see these two players in a match together. The traditional mark and kick full forward, McMahon and Caddy. I've mentioned Caddy has been running under the ball too much. I still believe that. McMahon doesn't really have that problem. I think he reads the ball better. He's just not quite as athletic. That might have been why he was never able to get onto a VFL team before this. But he's a great kick, and I think he's got good football nous, and I think he will be a good player for us. I can't wait to see how the two of them go together. Kako, of course, is in the forward pocket. The following division, Todd Goldstein, Dylan Shield, and Sam Durham. The interchange is Jackson Pryor, Matt Guelphy, Zach Johnson, Lachlan Blackiston, and Oscar Smart. So I hope Zach Johnson is not the sub. He's been the sub for a couple of weeks, and there was also a bye in the VFL at one point. So he's only really played a handful of minutes. If you look at the minutes played, he just hasn't played much, and I don't think it would be helpful to make him the sub for the third time. I think that would be a bit too much. Pryor, I don't know if the sub suits him. I have a feeling it could be Guelphy, but we'll see. But I don't think Johnson should be the sub. I just think you need to get some miles into his legs. There's no point playing him if you're going to make him the sub every week. At the end of the day, you do have to, I think, rotate that position a little bit, especially when you're playing dead rubbers, and it doesn't really mean anything. So I guess it's a possibility Oscar Smart could be the sub as well, but certainly I hope Johnson is not the sub. The emergencies, Ben Hobbs is an emergency. Menzie, I think this is good. Menzie has played pretty well. He's done nothing wrong in the VFL. He's actually played one of our best VFL players the last couple of weeks. So look, unfortunately, I don't think he'll be playing this week, obviously, and Vigo is the third emergency. So those are the teams for the Essendon Bulldogs game. What do you think of the team? Who do you think should have been picked? If you disagree with it, I'm pretty happy with it. I think Loire was probably pretty lucky, just given that Dersma was injured, but it's great to see Saad El-Hawli back. I hope you guys like the team, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe to this channel, and as always, go Bombers!